Estate Investing Profits presents Profit Masters with your host, world-renowned real estate coach and investor, Corey Boatwright. Now, strap in and get ready to learn elite wealth-building investment strategies taught by 6- and 7-figure house flipping masters as they reveal their best real estate investing profit secrets to you right now.
All right, welcome back. My name is Corey Boatwright, founder of Real Estate Investing Profits, and your host for our Profit Masters podcast series. How you doing today? I have got somebody really special, and her name is Lindsey Jean. She is president of High Heels and Hard Hats, and she's also part of Cash Cow Know-How. You're going to hear her story in just a moment, but before that, if you haven't already downloaded your free guide, why don't you go do that right now? Go ahead and text the word profit, okay? Text the word profit, or what you can do, it's text 38470, and you'll get your guide immediately. So you don't have to worry about it. It'll be right there, convenient for you. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Lindsey Jean. I've known her since, I guess, about 2009. And she is a fixer flipper. She really knows her stuff. And I think you're going to be blown away by how she really just talks about some of the mindset shifts that she's had to go through in her life. And I think you're going to see how she's been able to take all the negative things, and she's had a really tough life in terms of a lot of psychological things she had to deal with. And she's turned it around in a way that she's become an absolute rock star. And she is one of our profit masters. She's going to give you one of her little secrets to make things explode for her out there in California. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And here you go, Lindsey Jean. Lindsey, what's going on?
Hi, Corey. How are you?
How are you?
I am awesome.
Nice, nice. Now, you just got back from a vacation in Mammoth, correct?
I did.
How was that?
It's awesome.
What did you do there?
So we have a place on a lake. It's right outside of Yosemite, and it's pretty much a private lake, and we just decompress. We chill out, and you know what's funny? I end up getting a ton more work done because there's no distraction. So I like to work, but I go there and we just chill. We paddleboard. We hike. So yeah, just a little break. So is work in quotations like work, or is it like recharge and renewal mind work, or, you know, you get your real estate stuff, going, or what kind of work? So it's totally recharge and refuel, but I don't really ever stop working. So like I'll be up there and I'm like, oh, it's going to be an easy week. And then all of a sudden I get all these calls and everybody wants to do all these different projects or houses come through, and I'm all over it. But because of being in nature and just kind of getting away from the day-to-day normal schedule, it's still a recharge. Well, you know, you and I have known each other for a long time. Actually, I think it's been, probably back in 2007 or 8, one of those years. Yeah. And I got on the scene with real estate investing for short sales. And I think you and I met at an event, and I believe it was either the virtual investing seminar, or it was one of Preston's events. Is that accurate? Or was it Vegas? It was Vegas. I believe it was 2009, and it was December. And it might have been Preston's event. It might have been a short sale event. I don't remember. It was so long ago. Some guru event, right? Yeah. Yeah. And you were with your partner in crime, Mindy. Yeah. All right. So I know you, and I'm talking to you in a little while. You've been rocking and rolling, but I'd like for you to go ahead and say a bit who you are and what is your real estate expertise, Lindsey? So I have been in real estate for 11, 12 years now. I'm a real estate broker. I was an agent. And when the market fell apart, I started working with investors and then decided to transition and just become an investor myself. And I do wholesale and fix and flips. Fix and flips. Okay. So what made you want to get involved with real estate? Like just a quick summary. So I was actually a horse trainer For a lot of years, I was one of the best in the country. I traveled constantly, and I have numerous national championships. I worked all the time. I didn't make much money, and all my clients that were really wealthy were in real estate, and they never seemed to be working, and they always seemed really happy. And I decided I wanted to ride horses for fun and not for a living anymore. And that's when I got my real estate license.
Wow. Okay. So it's funny because my story as well, when I had a plasma screen business and I sold it, all those people that were buying those plasma TVs at the time, they were affluent. And when I asked them about their story, about what got them to be successful, how they become successful, they all, like 95% of them said real estate investing. So interesting. Well, did you have a moment in your life where you had like a breaking point, we call it, where, you know, before real estate, you were doing several things in terms of other jobs or things that just wasn't cutting it, and you just said, man, I've got to find some other way?
It was doing horses. So I was working approximately 90 hours a week. It was a lot.
So even though that wasn't making a lot of money for you, that was still really your quote job.
Yeah. And I loved it. But that's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And we were at horse shows like nationals. We were there 2 to 3 weeks, and we were up sometimes as early as 3 or 4 in the morning and not going to bed till midnight or 1. So I would go weeks on end without any sleep, without a day off. And I'm like this is not sustainable. I noticed other people, you know, I was young at the time, and I noticed elderly, you know, older people in the industry, they didn't have successful marriages. They didn't have successful relationships with their kids. They were gone all the time. And I'm like, this isn't working. I need to do something different. And most of my clients their horses were worth $100,000 or more. And they were spending on average $100,000 a month on this hobby. And so it was really eye-opening.
That was on average, $100,000 a month on average?
Yeah, we did really nice high-end horses. And they were awesome people. They were nice. They were down to earth. They were smart, but they weren't smarter than me. And they were helpful. And most of them didn't have college degrees. They were just people that went out and did the right thing and helped others and cared, and just they like followed through with their word. They did what they said they're going to do, and you know, they did it. And so I definitely would say I was surrounded by the right people that were like, Lindsey, do it. Like, you can do it. And I didn't know where to start. And so that's why I was like, oh, I'll get my real estate license. I'll be an agent. But that was definitely the breaking point for me, was working so hard and not
working so hard, 90 hours. Yeah, I can imagine. Who was a big influence besides myself, of course? Who was a big influence for your investing?
You know, what's funny? It was actually Donald Trump. And I know right now there's like
The Art of the Deal. Did you read that book?
You know what? I didn't read that book. But I think it was around the time he had just gone through, bankruptcy, and then he was doing well again. And, so I have a couple mentors. So that was one of them, because when I would find myself challenged, I would say, what would Donald Trump do? Like, literally, F the circumstances.
Right.
If he was here in my position, would he be creating excuses why it couldn't be done? Or would he be creating relationships and just getting it done? And then another person that had another huge influence on me was David Murdoch. I don't know if you have heard of him. He was actually the guy I worked for. So he owned a big horse ranch, and I trained his horses. So I worked directly with one of the richest men in America, and he didn't have a college degree, and he started his first company on like a $2,000 loan, and like it just grew into being a multi-billionaire. And he's just a really nice, humble, awesome guy that went after it. So, those were kind of the people that have inspired me.
I can imagine. I mean, being influenced by a billionaire and having direct contact with them is a pretty big mindset shift for you. What was one of your real estate investing mistakes? So they weren't all success. We know that. You know, I have several of my own. All the people that we bring on here, they share theirs. What was a worst deal that you went through, and how did you get through it?
Oh, I'm trying to think of my worst deal. I'm extremely conservative on my deals. So I usually only take a deal unless I can see it like 100 ways how it will work out. The worst deals I've actually had have been other agents involved, and the agents were causing problems. And we ended up working with somebody else. So actually just 2 weeks ago, we ended up having a deal fall apart, and we were supposed to be getting ready to close escrow. And instead of closing escrow, the agent, everything fell apart. And rather than trying to work through it, we just relisted the property on the market, got an all cash buyer. So at the end of the day, we're closing with more money, without any contingencies or problems. And we're actually closing this week. Oh, I do have a problem. This was a long time ago. I had, it was 5 years ago. It was a wholesale deal, and, I'm really good at paperwork, and I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. And he was supposed to pay me a $5,000 assignment fee. And when it came to closing, he did not pay me.
Okay.
And
so you didn't have it. You didn't cloud the title. You didn't do anything. It was all just like a handshake or an honesty kind of deal.
We had a contract.
Right.
The escrow we were using would not allow me to be paid through escrow.
Gotcha.
Typically, that's what I do 99.9% of the time. This property was about 3 hours from where I live, so it wasn't the typical people I use. This was a new territory for me, and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't pay me through escrow. So
why wouldn't they pay you, Lindsey?
They were weird. If you know California, it's the middle of the desert, like where Charles Manson used to live. So like, it's people out there are just strange and they do stuff differently, and they would not pay me. They would absolutely not pay me. It was only $5,000. And the buyer at the time, he was like, no problem, we'll pay you at closing. I had the contract stating all the specifics that my attorney drafted up. So it shouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
So anyways, he didn't want to pay. And then he kept telling me, no problem, I'll pay you. As soon as it closed, he's like, yeah, fuck you, I don't want to pay you. Like, totally.
Wow.
Totally different dude.
Right.
That's when the red hair came out, and he saw a very different side of me. And anyways, long story short, I got paid.
Nice.
I had to take him to court. It took 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
He would cancel court.
How could you not forget this when I was asking what's one of the worst deals? You're like, what's one of the worst deals? You went to court for 2 years with this guy. Wow.
Well, it was so long ago.
Yeah, I understand. So you got through it by basically going to court, and then you actually did end up getting paid. Did you settle out of court?
No, I got so what happened was we would set the court date, and then he would no-show that morning and send somebody in with a hospital note that he was hospitalized.
Oh, wow.
And so like, I was speaking a lot at the time, so I would not speak so that I could be here to go to court. And here's the thing. Honestly, $5,000 wasn't worth it.
Right.
But what I learned was that he did this to a lot of people, and he would make commitments and then break them. And most people didn't have the funds or the time to fight him. And for me, it became principle.
I gotcha.
And that I needed to stand up for what was right for all the people that couldn't stand up before me. And so I have a huge network out here in Southern California, and I put the word out to everybody, and I doubt he's done a real estate deal since then.
Wow.
But yeah, it was about doing the right thing. We went to court. He presented his side. I presented my side. The judge actually asked me to leave the room. And I was listening through the door. And the judge said, sir, you have no case. You are 100% wrong. And if you and he pretty much talked to him for 15 minutes. And then they invited me back in, and the guy paid me. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got paid. I'm glad you stood up for the principle. Many people wouldn't do that, especially if it was like 5,000 small claims court. But I'm sure you helped a lot of people from that. So yay for Lindsey. Was your billionaire, on a side note, was he planning on his 125th birthday? Was that same guy that
No.
Okay. I know there's two different Murdochs, right?
He's like 95.
Okay. Well, I know there's one guy that had Dole Foods. Was it that same guy?
That's him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I glanced over on Google to see him, and he actually said that he was in Forbes. And that's cool. That's cool that you had that experience working with him.
Well, and for me, it was really impactful because I didn't grow up with a ton of money. So I got into horses because other people gave me chances and gave me opportunities. I started working at 13 so I could pay for them. And I just happened to be really talented. And so people would allow me to ride their high-end horses. And then people would give me rides because his ranch is about 3 hours away from me. And so people would give me rides to go up there and train with the trainer he had there. And so it was definitely a progression, but it opened up my eyes from the environment I grew up in, seeing that it doesn't have to be this way and that I can create anything that I want. I
love that. Do you still have a relationship with him to this day?
No, I never ever got to know him really well. It was more like because I was I was one of like 1,000 people that worked for him, you know.
Sure. I still love the story though.
Yeah.
All right, so let's continue on here. Many of the folks that we have on here are just knocking out of the park. They're rock stars with real estate. They've done really well. I know you're no exception. What I'd like to ask you is what we call the Profit Master investing strategy. Can you share something that's working extremely well in your real estate business right now? Maybe one of the best strategies to get you the bigger profits?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I do that works really well for me is I work with a lot of realtors, and I see a lot of other investors actually miss this mark and they want to like go around the realtor, not work with them. I, on the other hand, do the complete opposite. And I work with oftentimes around 20 realtors at any one time in different territories.
Wow, 20. And different territories in the same state or outside your investing area?
Typically in my area.
Okay.
But not in my immediate area. So I'm in Southern California. So we have Orange County, LA County, San Diego, and then Inland Empire. So I have a pretty big territory that's really awesome in the real estate market. And each agent gets their area, like whatever area they like, they specialize in, that's theirs. And nobody crosses over into their territory so that there's, no cross-contamination, so to speak. And they feel comfortable and confident that they're going to make the money. But essentially, I have agents that are bird dogs. They're scouring the MLS every single day. They get, pocket listings, or some of them have bank connections. They get a double end deal. So it works out really well.
Nice. Okay. So you work with real estate agents and you use them as your bird dogs. And do you have some kind of split, something worked out with them that works really well?
So typically what they do is they make their normal realtor commission. So they make a 3% or 6% on the entire deal. So if they find the deal, they get 3%. If they happen to have the listing, they end up getting 6%. So it becomes really attractive in pushing my offer through.
I got you. Yeah, we used to do the same thing on short sales as well, and it was a great strategy on working with real estate agents. They find all the great deals. The pocket listings can be very, very profitable. That's cool. Okay, so what's one piece of advice that you'd share about running a successful real estate business, Lindsey?
Outsource your weaknesses and focus on your strengths. Hire people that are good at what you're bad at and let go of control. Nobody will ever do it as good as you, and that's okay. That's probably the biggest breakthrough I had in my business. For a long time, it was really limited, and I kept it small because nobody could do it as good as me, and nobody could do it right. And I was definitely a control freak, and I probably still am, but I let it go. And as soon as I let it go, and I hired somebody, and she is so opposite of me. She is very detailed and organized and analytical, and I am not at all. So some of our conversations, we definitely get frustrated at each other, but we get to work together, and she has all of my weaknesses and I have all of her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. There's a book called Rocket Fuel. That's amazing. You should read it. It's by Gino Wickman. And basically, to summarize it, is that there's two different types of people. There's a visionary and there is a integrator. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had to choose which one, and you could only choose one, which one would you be more like? And the visionary always asked, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And the integrator asked, how? How do we do it? So interesting. I bet you have her being the integrator, and I bet you're the visionary.
Yeah.
And so it tends to work really, really well.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So if you had to start all over again, what would you change? Maybe some advice for new people.
If I were to start all over again, I wouldn't try and figure it out myself.
Okay. So what does that mean?
So when I got into real estate, I wanted to do it myself because my ego was in the way of asking for help because I wouldn't be good enough and that I would have to be under somebody. And that means taking guidance or direction or if I were to do it again, absolutely, I would find who's ever the best at it and learn from them and save myself thousands of dollars in mistakes and several years of mistakes and just do it right from the beginning.
Several years of mistakes. Many and other investors that we've had on the show, they have said that same thing and how important it is. And I think you're one of the first ones that really got vulnerable and said it was ego. And I have to agree with you. I think that as an entrepreneur, so many people tell you you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. Can't do it. And it's like waving like a red flag in front of a bull. Mm-hmm. I will show you, what I can do. Right.
Yep.
The easiest way to get an entrepreneur, a driven entrepreneur like yourself and others, is to tell them they can't do it. Right. And so when it comes down to it, there's an idea that if I ask for advice, that's kind of like saying that you're right. I couldn't do it. And the
I'm not good enough.
The mindset shift there, though, is really important to change the anchor. Is what if you could do it better? Mm-hmm. What if you could do it better and faster by getting that mentorship or that advice? And what if that was the smartest thing that you could do?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think changing the way you think about it is really crucial because after a while, that will, if you don't get that piece fixed, it will change the landscape of everything else you do in your life. Every business adventure, everything you do, it will carry over into the way you think on that. Yeah. So I appreciate you expressing a little vulnerability on that because I understand that ego for all of us gets in the way. Yeah. You know what? What's one of your favorite motivational or business quotes?
One that I'm often reminded of on a frequent basis is believe people when they show you who they are the first time. And while it may not be a traditional business or motivational quote, I very much believe we are who we surround ourselves with. And personally, myself in the past, I used to give people passes and I would see them doing things unethically and I'd be like, oh, I'm sure it's just that one time. Or, I would give them passes as to why it was okay that I heard them lie about that little lie.
Right.
And what I found is people are who they are and believe them the first time. And I absolutely don't do business with anybody who lies or cheats or manipulates. Like it's all about integrity. And I found over the years, people that lied about little things, lied about big things. And if they screwed one person over slightly, they'll screw somebody over big time. And guess who? That person's going to be me someday. So like the biggest thing is, working with quality people. And when people show you who they are the first time, believe them.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
What's one book that's really changed your life or one that you recommend others to read?
Probably my favorite book that has had the biggest impact on me and I've read more than any other book was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
It's one that's a big favorite. He has several, not just Think and Grow Rich. He has several others, and that one has been a big. It's been referred several times. Big recommendation and lots to learn from that book. What's one of the favorite mobile apps that you use every day in your business?
Mobile apps. I don't know. I don't really use many mobile apps.
Surely you have one that you use all the time.
I don't want. I use an app called Fixer.
What's Fixer?
Fixer. So, can you see?
I do. I can see. Yeah.
It's right here. It's a fix and flip app, and you can like do quick estimates and calculations on properties. So you can it generates a really quick flip analysis.
And you can send a PDF or yeah, I can see it. You put it up to your camera a little closer. Oh. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay. Yeah, flip analysis and property. Okay, I've got another guest that has his own that's looks similar to that layout. Can you send a PDF and Excel and everything from it?
Yeah, it does the PDF.
Is that on iTunes or Android?
Yes, iTunes.
It's called Fixer. I like it. I have to check that out.
Yeah.
And you use that one quite a bit.
I do. I mean, I do. I sometimes do. I don't always use it.
That's like the exact opposite. You use that one a lot. I do. I sometimes do. I do.
Well, you said business apps, and I don't feel like I use a lot of apps in my business.
That's a business app, definitely. That's one. That's a good one. I'm gonna check that one out. What do you have a morning routine that you normally go by?
I do. I like to wake up and I like to work out.
Wake up and work out. Okay. Like right when you get out of bed, do you like drink any water? Do you like do any push-ups or you just go right to the gym?
I like to go at 6.
Okay. That's where I do. I go to the gym at 6 too.
If I don't go at 6, everything for the day gets pushed back. I don't feel as productive. And then oftentimes I don't go. And to be honest, last week I went one time and it was in the afternoon. And I didn't feel like it doesn't leave me feeling good. And it sets the mood for the entire week. And there was a lot of things that went on last week. So it's irrelevant. And I was making excuses why I couldn't go. But I think the whole point is that no matter how successful we are, like we can fall off track and it's okay. And we get to get back on track. And so my regimen is waking up and going to the gym. And I feel like I've accomplished so much by 7 a.m., and I get home and I get my daughter ready for school and I eat and I get her off to school and I'm back. And I've typically already answered emails and, done maybe 30 minutes of computer work by then. And it's like 8:30 in the morning. And I'm like, half of America's waking up right now. And look at what I've done. And so I start off just feeling good. And when I'm empowered, I get a lot more accomplished rather than waking up going, oh my God, look at what I didn't do.
So I'm going to challenge you 2 things. One is water. So your brain is like 72% water, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. So I put a refrigerator right by my bed. So right when I get up out of bed, my refrigerator, literally like it's a mini fridge, and I don't need one, but because I got one obviously in the house, but I've got like a little one right next to me. So when I get up, I have 1 liter waters in there. They're high alkaline that I drink, just chug like as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And because your body gets dehydrated at night when you wake up.
Yeah.
And then I do some jumping jacks just to kind of get the blood flowing. I go to the gym as well at 6 a.m.
Okay.
And then another fun fact that was kind of interesting, I'll just throw out there, was if you're in the sauna, so like after the sauna, so it's 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. For my workout on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you go in the sauna afterwards, you're like, it was something crazy. I think it was like 61 or 60% less likely to die from stress related activity. So if you're in the sauna 3 times a week, so interesting. And I don't know if you like the sauna or not, but it's like a reward afterwards.
Yeah. I like to stretch in the sauna.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What's the single greatest lesson you've learned that's helped you get to where you are today?
To not believe anybody.
To not believe anybody.
Like as far as limiting beliefs.
I gotcha.
So that's what I meant. I grew up with a very
to not believe anything? You mean anything? Anything anybody tells you?
So yeah, I grew up in a family that I was told I would never amount to anything and I would never be anything, and I was put down my entire life. And so I learned that nobody else's opinion matters, and I can do whatever I want to do. That literally the world is limitless. Like, we can achieve whatever we want. And so it's interesting because, you know, I'd say 99% of all my friends are successful entrepreneurs that don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. But every once in a while I'll come across somebody and they're like, but this and but this and but this. And it's so... And I'm like, yeah, I remember when I lived in that as a child, and it's hard. And, yeah, just if you want to do something, you can do it. It doesn't matter what's in your way, because that's all perceived anyways.
Yeah. When you look in the mirror, your competition is looking back at you.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. That's great. What are you most grateful for?
I am most grateful for my daughter and my fiance.
Those are good things.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter? You mind me asking?
She's 10.
10.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
She's 10. She, you know, I really feel like if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at. She was a surprise, and,
surprise, baby.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. What are we going to do now? She really got me to get my shit in order, because I wanted to give her more than I had growing up. And so it pushed me harder than I would have ever pushed myself, because I wanted to tell her, you know, when she asked for stuff, I wanted to tell her no, that she needed to earn it or create it, not no, mommy doesn't have any money, or
I like that.
Mommy can't hang and play with you because mommy has to work. I wanted to be able to play and go on vacations because I had the freedom. So it was really her that made me want to create something different. I
love the reframing of no that you just put there. That is, I've never heard it said like that. I love that. What point would you recommend hiring a coach or mentor? You kind of alluded to this before, and how important do you think that's been to your success?
I feel like it's everything. So it's so interesting. So I was really successful with horses only because I had the best trainers in the country helping me.
Right.
And I went from one trainer to another as I got better, and I literally outgrew my trainer, and I was competing, and it was very obvious that my skills far surpassed who was helping.
Sure.
And so then I would move on to somebody that was, you know, a higher quality. And that's why my trainers ended up being out of state and out of area. And I would travel to them to train. And so I really learned that to get good at anything, we can't do it ourselves.
So
that
true.
We have to learn from somebody who's been there and done that and happens to be amazing at it, you know? And they probably had mentors. So it's not just them. It's like, you know, years and years of passed on information. And what's funny, even with all that knowledge and experience, when I got into real estate initially, my ego was still in the way, and I wanted to be a realtor for myself. And so it definitely and man, there were a lot of bumps and bruises along the way in the beginning. But then I did hire a mentor, and I did start working with a lot of people. And I realized that my ego was all about my insecurity of myself not being good enough. But when I realized I was good enough, I was good enough to ask for help. Like you have to be in a place where you're like, I'm good enough and I deserve this and I deserve success. And I can actually step into that powerful role that I want to be in. But it's definitely a huge mindset shift. So yes.
You did another mindset shift there, another reframing that's subtle but very powerful. You talked about ego and talked about that being an insecurity. And that's not something that you typically hear. You don't hear that ego is an insecurity. So I can already tell that you've done a lot of work in that area. And it's really powerful to hear you say that. And people listening right now, I guarantee you've got a little nudge. Yeah, or you know what? My ego maybe is a little bit of insecurity to me. Why do you do what you do? If you had to summarize it, why? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you do this real estate thing? Why do you do business?
I guess for a lot of reasons. I do it because it's fun. That's important to me. I want to like what I'm doing. It's fun. It's challenging. Every day is different. Every week is different. Every house is different. Everybody I work with is different. So it's constantly challenging me to grow as a person, to be better. And it's fun. And then it gives me the freedom to spend the time with my daughter and my family and to go where I want and do what I want whenever I want. That would summarize it.
Fun, and gives you the time to do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's
a great reason why. How can we help you? How can we serve you? What's the best way to contact you, Lindsey?
So I'm kind of private. I'm not the easiest person to find. I am on Instagram as Body Hottie. I'm not on there very much as a real estate person. It's more or less my personal life. Every once in a while I'll throw some business stuff that I'm working on or doing. But it's Body Hottie with 2 T's. And then, my email is support@cashcowknowhow.com.
Cash Cow Know-How.
Yeah.
And are you offering like programs and any kind of events now, or have you put that to the side for a little bit?
I do have a real estate wholesaling program.
Okay.
And it walks through the ins and outs of how to find the realtor, how to analyze the deal, how to get your offers accepted, how to find the cash buyers, and then how to put the money together, literally everything.
And that's Cash Cow Know-How. They can find out more there. Great.
Yeah, the website I think is under construction. We've been working on it a little bit.
So just email you. That would be the best way if someone's interested. Okay. Yeah. I just want to tell you that it's really empowering to see you as a woman be so powerful in business and also changing your mindset, that we need more of that. So it's inspirational to see that. As you know, a lot of this real estate investing is kind of dominated by men, and it seems like more women are stepping up and really making big things happen. And so you're one of them. It's always an inspiration to hear the things that you're doing. I know we didn't talk about the Body Hottie and all the other things you went through with your competing, and it's just all about making someone be the best they can be. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here. It's been great. Any final words?
No, thank you so much for having me. I have looked up and admired you for years. You're just one of, the awesome people in a really crazy space, and you're doing lots of good and helping lots of people. And it's an honor to be on here with you, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's likewise. Thank you, Lindsey. I appreciate it. All righty. So thank you again for being on our Real Estate Investing Profit Masters series, Lindsey. Make sure that you're on the next episode, as we're going to bring you continually awesome, phenomenal real estate investing advice that you can apply in your business. So thanks again, Lindsey. And always remember, be a servant. Bye now.
Bye.
You've been listening to another Real Estate Investing Profits Master Podcast series. To receive your free real estate book, Down and Dirty, Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide, how to quit your job to start flipping houses in 90 days or less, head online and go to realestateinvestingprofits.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Estate Investing Profits. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.